Welcome, Winiacs, Wisdom Wanderers. Welcome to Wine and Wisdom, where we learn what it means to be a human. And I'm joined this week by one of my OGs, by Hollywood Clem, the $1,000 Clem, Big Chris Stud, one of my homies. Give it up for Chris CJ Clem.
I think I switched that voicemail now. I don't know.
Oh, you did. I think I find it fascinating that on Facebook you are now CJ Clem.
Oh, I just got to switch some of that social media up. My idea was to delete a bunch of people and just make it much more personal, but I never did that part.
And you still get probably backlash for posting anti-Trump stuff, right?
I mean, I got a lot of people. My like on Twitter, all these conservatives were like, now that they're purging these bots, I've lost all these followers. It's censorship. And I'm like, I lost a bunch of followers too, but I don't think it was for the same reasons.
Yeah. Well, if this is your first time checking us out here on Wine and Wisdom, we drink wine and we discuss life and what it means to be a human. And I love learning about life. Life is my ultimate subject. And I like bringing on wise people. So I figured I'd bring on one of the smartest, wisest guys I know. And that's Christopher J. Worthing. I mean, Christopher Clem.
Oh, ML.
Yeah. MEWL.
MEWL. That's right.
Yeah. How could you forget, right?
Dr. LaRue.
Now, like 3 people, including us, are like, okay, we get it.
B-A-D.
It's the similar font in his. Now we're gonna move on. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So the first segment of our show, and by the way, before we get into that, you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I think wherever anchors and anchors where we're our home bases. But also you can watch us on YouTube if you want to see my beautiful green eyes, because now I have a wonderful lighting setup that is hopefully a lot more high quality production than last time. So I spent some shekels and hopefully it's beautiful now. But anyways, you can check us out. Go ahead.
I watched it on YouTube and it was very dark.
Yeah. Long story short, the battery slowly was dying on my lights, and you don't notice till the end. You're like, why is it so dark? But anyways, hopefully from here on out, baby, production quality will be maybe right there, maybe not up there, but it should be hopefully right about there. We'll see how it goes. But yes, leave us a like, a subscription, a review, all that shit. You guys know how it is. Anyways, first segment of the show. We got to get the vino. And I don't have Rex Goliath this week, which was a 47-pound rooster that the wine was inspired after. This week, I have the finest of Frontera wines. Frontera Cabernet Merlot. I think is it a Cabernet? Is it a Merlot? Is it both? I don't know, but we're going to drink it. That's all I know. I know I got it at BJ's for like $10, so we'll see how it goes. Just a little bit about Frontera. And by the way, you can find them at fronterawines.com. Enticing aromas of plum, black fruits, and cocoa are complemented by fruit-forward flavors, making this wine the perfect companion for cheese appetizers, scrumptious pastas, and grilled red meats. Wonderful. And it is imported by Eagle Peak Estates in Hopland, Mendocino County, California. How far away from
I'll look it up right now.
I'm going to say that's probably up north Napa, right?
Yeah.
The Wine Valley. Of course, Big Chris Stud, emanating from the city of Angels, Los Angeles, California, where it's probably 60 some degrees.
Oh, dude, it was 90 degrees today.
Shit.
I was working out at the gym in Burbank, and it's outside, and I was dying. It was very hard because it's been like 65 when I've been working out, and now it's been to go from like 65 to then 90. It was just, and the sun's out on top of me. I mean, there's like a a cover, but the sun was at the perfect point to like be actually coming in through the sides that are open.
Yeah.
It was rough. Mendocino County is 7.5 hours away.
Oh, so that's
So yeah,
probably
it's Northern California.
even more north than like San Francisco, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where Napa is, right? That's where the wine country is. Heard it's beautiful. You guys should go there.
Yeah. You should.
I mean, I should go there sometime when I'm ever out in California again. But you weren't working out at Muscle Beach?
Nah, man, that'd be a drive. They close that anyways for now.
Oh, right.
I mean, the city doesn't want to bother even running anything, even if it's outside.
Yeah. Things are a lot stricter where you're at.
Plus Muscle Beach is like two squat racks, like a couple flat benches. I mean, it's just a very small thing. So it's like the first 6 people. Yeah, it's a gimmick. You go there to be seen, not to like get your workout in. But
you just do
right
this.
now
You don't even lift. You just go.
There's so many people that would be waiting for stuff there. There was one guy that was doing lunges like with 135 pounds, which is actually like a lot for a lunge, but he looked like a little CrossFit guy. And I was like, somebody gave you the wrong idea. Go here. This isn't where the fitness models go. You need to be like these 50-year-old dudes that are juiced out to their gills.
Yeah. They're training for aesthetics, not functionality, my friend.
They've been training for aesthetics since 1975.
Yeah. Well, they keep growing. It's just this way now, But anyways.
Age is a number. I'm still a Balkan, brother.
And then when you come back home, we got to hit up Bodybuilder's Gym, man.
I'm down. No women allowed, right?
That's right. I got to cut my hair before I walk in, though, because it's that kind of place.
Just being around the women lowers your test, brother.
Exactly. The only women that are allowed in there are the posters on the wall.
Nice. That increases your test.
That's right. All right. Well, anyways, Frontera, let's try this out. Big Chris Stud, are you a wine fan? I mean, you're not drinking any now. I get it.
I have
your workout.
I have my Andersonville wine walk glass from my old neighborhood.
Wonderful. So yes, it seems like you are a wine fan. Do you see what I'm drinking? This goes
Oh
back.
yeah, I got one of those.
Yep. You were there when I got this.
Oh yeah.
At Jock Lindsay's Hangaba. So let's get a little bit of a pour here. You into that ASMR stuff, buddy?
Nah. It kind of freaks me out.
If you were, you just were right there. Oh. But hey, cheers.
I mean, drinking a 2021 Mountain Dew Major Melon Zero.
Wow. 0 sugar, huh?
I ordered this as a splurge. A friend of mine posted it on Instagram and I tried to find it. And there was none in California. So I paid $24 to get it off Amazon. I think it was probably a ripoff.
Wow.
Definitely a splurge.
So that's like every sip is like $1 right there. Is it good?
It's not bad. It tastes kind of more like Baja Blast than I was expecting, which is a disappointment.
I still have to open my Guile energy drink from Street Fighter. Did I ever show you that?
No.
All right, I'll be right back. If I can find it. Up here it is. Wonderful. I'm kind of pissed though. And that's the beauty of a lapel mic. You can walk and talk. I'm kind of pissed though. I dropped it the other day, but
Sonic nice. Boom. I had a Mario energy drink I got at the Nintendo store in New York that was Power Up.
Yeah.
It was probably made by the same people.
It's Boston America Corp.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to open. I don't know. I'm gonna have to pop this open one day.
There was a big trend, like maybe even 10 years ago now, where they were licensing all kinds of things to like put energy drinks. Like everybody had an energy drink.
A buddy of mine worked at a grocery store in Cleveland. I don't remember what it was, but it's one of the big chains. And he had a pack of those. And he's like, "You want one?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." So Sonic Boom. One day I'll have to try it when I get the courage to bust it open. Speaking of busted open, let's bust this show open. We've done our sides. I did want to ask you, are you in general a fan of wine?
I don't know about, I don't mind it. I'm not a big wine drinker, honestly. Um, it's fine. I've had it. I don't know the intricacies or the, the flavors,
Yeah.
the way people appreciate it. I can't
Yeah.
lie. Like when it comes to that kind of stuff, I'm much more of like a coffee guy when it comes to like the roast and the flavors and experiencing that. So I don't know anything about it, but I've had wine here and there. More of a beer guy.
I hear you. Yeah, I love wine. It's probably my favorite type of alcohol. But I get what you're saying when it comes, people go like to the extreme in terms of, the bounty and, gurgling and,
Oh yeah.
the legs running down. There's a great scene. I referenced this actually a couple episodes ago, which by the way, you can go into the archives and listen to all our episodes for free. But anyways, House Guest, the great comedy with Sinbad.
I saw it as a kid.
Yeah. There's a scene where Sinbad is at a wine tasting party with all these uppity white people, right? And this guy is, drinking wine, and he's like your typical nerd. And he's like, oh, and, Sinbad's like, man, sounds like you need to get laid. So, something stupid like that. But anyways, he goes into like really, detail about, sniffing and all that stuff, which
Wow.
I'm sure that there's a science to it. I'm not belittling that. It's just like,
Yeah.
I just like it because it tastes good and there's health benefits, right? So yeah, there it is. But anyways, yeah, it's pretty good. Frontera, check it out. It is Frontera, and there's actually a title at the bottom too. Concha y Torro. There we go. And this is a 2019. All right, moving on. Let's get on with this.
I would say we have like 3 or 4 bottles of wine
Yeah.
at our house. Then they're just still not open. So
Mhm.
it's the same with like the hard liquor. I opened this bottle of blackened whiskey and now it's like evaporated like a quarter of the bottle. And I'm like, well, fuck. I
Yeah.
drank it one time and now it's half empty. It's
Yeah.
not good. That's not good.
Right. All right. So it's time to start with the deep questions. We meet behind the veil. Another reason that I wanted to do this show, in addition to just like give me an excuse to drink wine once a week, is getting to know people on a deeper level. And, we go way back. 16
Yeah.
years, something like that.
We've probably committed
15
crimes
years.
together.
Oh, easy. But I think, 15 or 16 years we
I
started
started
working.
working at Stutzman's when I was 19. That would have been 16 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know when you started, a little
Yep.
bit after that.
I started 2005. So
Yeah.
coming up on 16 years.
And the first time we hung out is because you finally played basketball with me because you're always talking about how good you were.
And I showed out, right?
I mean, you did, but your friends, a lot of them were, it wasn't even like a fair comparison.
Yeah. Well, of course. But put a pin in Stutzman's. We're going to circle back to that. You know it.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of wisdom that was gleaned from that place. That's for sure. But anyways, so we go way back. And again, one of the reasons that I want to start this show is just to like, get to know people on a deeper level. And above that, like become wiser. Having shared experiences, share wisdom with each other. That's what this is all about. So time to start with the hard-hitting questions. Who the hell is Chris Clem?
A guy, a man. I don't know. I don't have the answer
sure?
for you that I would have had. Yeah, I'm pretty sure at this point in my life, I'd know if I was transgender or not. And it's not like one of those people. I have somebody that I don't know, but I know of, who is like 46 and just left or came out to his wife as transgender.
Yeah.
It's like they know way before then.
Oh,
It's just when they're comfortable telling somebody.
Yeah. Or when they get the courage to, venture out like that.
Yeah. I would know that by now.
I have a friend who's very much gay, and he he's lost count of how many guys, married men he's been with. And because that, like, you know, the apps for that, right? He's lost count. He's been with so many married men because they want to, you know, with white, you know, that have kids and a career, and they just, you know, they don't want to come out because of, you know, the stigma and everything, even though it's 2021 now, but still, it's just fascinating to me how many, I mean, it's dozens and dozens of married men that he's been with.
I mean, that's probably the people who are looking for hookups would be more
Oh, yeah.
likely to be on that app.
Valid.
I mean, there's somebody that, you know,
Oh boy.
there's a comic who was running a show that I'll just keep this as vague as possible,
Okay,
even
all
though I
right.
think they made it public knowledge. And that wasn't their show, but it's somebody who was a friend of mine's show. And it got canceled forever because one of the comics on it hooked up with the owner of the bar, and his wife caught them.
Wow.
And I guess she was like, knew he was bi or whatever, but
Yeah.
seeing it happen was too much to go, I guess.
She'd go, oh, and faint. So after the show, you have to tell me who that is, because I don't know. But
Okay.
interesting. That's interesting. So he's a guy. Okay. Great. Anything else?
I don't know. Like I said,
Yeah.
if this was 2 years ago, I'd have a much better answer, even a year ago. But the way
Yeah.
things have gone now, I no expectations or plans or set anything. And it feels like, you know, you have your solid idea of what life is or what you can expect or you try to do. And now then it's just like dust, and maybe it'll congeal again, but maybe it won't. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't have anything deeper than that to say.
Fair enough. You take these questions however the hell you want. They can be as little as a word or 2 words in that case, or as deep and expansive as you want. You know, they're your questions, your opinions, your observations, your shit. So anyways, we're going to move on.
All right.
I've had enough of that. So
You're catching me at a weird time in my life. That's all.
every day is a weird time. Every
Yeah,
day,
I know.
right? Especially now, but I understand that. I understand that. But I heard you mention, so I tuned in on occasion when you had a verified, you might still have a verified account or whatever they call it on Stereo.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still around?
Yeah, they said they keep trying to get me to go back on, but I think I'm still verified. They said if we don't start using it, they're going to remove our badge, but they stopped paying, so I'm like in no rush to do it. No, I'm still verified according to this.
Right on.
I only got 64 followers, but the last time I did it was October 13th.
Yeah. Well, I checked in. You know, my
Yeah.
favorite were actually when you and the missus would rap. I'm gonna tell you, damn, it's so funny. I don't know if it's you, but it seems like the people in your life that are around you, I wouldn't say that they're funnier than you, but it's like they're elevated. Like your brother to me is one of the funniest motherfuckers I've ever met. Your wife too. Like, I don't know if it's maybe like you attracted that, or you just, or the fact that they're around you, you know,
It's
you know
the
what I mean?
improv training.
Yeah.
You have no problem elevating other people or being the base for
Yeah.
somebody else's,
Well, there you go.
get their jokes off.
That,
You got to have a lot of self-confidence for that.
yeah.
Though.
And that makes sense. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I feel like just knowing you for this long, I feel like people have told me I have a pretty quick wit. I feel like just by being around you, being in your vicinity, that my improv, my, you know, quick-wittedness game has been elevated. So thank you for that.
That's good. That's good to know. You got to keep up if everybody's throwing shots.
Exactly. And not only that, but it's like, it's funny how when you are, and because of being friends with you and you being a comedian, and I've been around more, I've been subject to, yeah, well, it's a spectrum, but funny people. It's funny how, like,
a wide spectrum.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is not 60 minutes, but
Gunther, yes.
But anyway, what was my point? I don't know. But
You've been around funny people.
So the fact that I'm around funny people, it makes me more like my palate is more sensitive, more refined when it comes to comedy. And I appreciate that because it's like the stuff that a lot of people find funny. I'm like, what? And it might, some of it's probably generational too. Like I don't understand TikTok humor at all. I don't get it in the slightest.
I wouldn't necessarily say that for that because there was the same type of humor when we were like 22. You just probably weren't finding it funny then either.
Valid.
It's just less niche or niche now. It's way more popular than it was 15 years ago.
Makes sense. And I think too, my sense of humor is a little bit different too. And I think it aligns, more with yours. We find a lot of this, I like intelligent humor is kind of my deal. Like especially if it's kind of a dog whistle too for certain things. Like certain things I'll find really funny. Most people are like, that's what? That's not that funny, but I'm dying. And I feel like you're kind of the same way. But getting back to stereo, some of the best audio, and you still have those audio recordings, right? They're still on stereo. They were great. Like you and the missus just talking about stuff like, oh man, the banter, the way she would like clap back at you was awesome. But I very distinctly remember this because this was a topic that came up on stereo. So like it would pop up and you guys would, debate the topic or a talking point, whatever they would call it. But the question was, is wisdom or intelligence, more important? And I very distinctly remember your answer and I couldn't agree more. Do you care to elucidate on that?
I'm assuming I said wisdom, but I'd like to hear exactly what I said.
Yeah, you for sure said wisdom. And you were like, basically you said it wasn't even close.
No, it's not.
Why
There's
is
tons
that?
of intelligent people, but intelligence is pointless without the ability to apply it in a direction or use it properly.
Yeah. Amen. I would agree that in politics, there are so many very intelligent people, but no wisdom.
I've met a lot of people with incredibly high IQs and they have no concept of what life is.
Yeah.
And that's why the people you meet who are truly wise are able to be very intelligent, but they also are able to use that for something different than abstract. Like it's one thing to say my brain works faster than other people's brains, or I can solve puzzles, or I can figure out programming or words, but unless you have applied knowledge, it's worthless. So somebody who understands their limitation, who's less intelligent, but has a concept of how things affect other people in the world is much more valuable than somebody who has all the raw processing power in the world, but has no place, no purpose, no need for it, doesn't know how to apply it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's a balance too. Obviously you need a good solid base level of intelligence. But wisdom, like and I think one of the biggest things is decision making is, wisdom plays such an important role on just making the wisest decisions in your life and how that can have ramifications and repercussions. You're right. You could be very intelligent, but you could also be a dick too. Right. So go ahead.
I know. I was just going to say, without it getting into like the encroaching on the political thing that we were talking about before we started recording, there's a lot of people who are able to separate their actual, like, how's a good way to put this? They're not abstract, but they're just like able to view things as numbers. Like this is this and this is that. And they can separate the effects of personality of that, but they completely misunderstand that believing in a core set of numbers as your principles doesn't matter when the people that it would be implementing them are corrupt or doing things in a different way that causes way worse. Like they could think, oh, the second level effects of increasing minimum wage are going to mean people have less jobs. But really the third level effect is a third level to that. It's not the effect, but before that, the economy's already tanked. Like the amount of people that have lost their jobs, what are they going to do? Make new jobs to lose them? Like they've already lost the jobs.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man.
They're too dogmatic, I guess. It's the same way in that, like a religious fundamentalist, you can believe something's correct, but if you can't understand how it would actually play out, it doesn't matter.
And I think a lot of people they worship, and we've mentioned this in previous episodes, people worship their ego, and the same thing with intelligence, same thing. People worship intelligence as like the golden calf, as like, this is everything. And it's important, But having empathy, having a human heart, and understanding the balance and the role that plays in everything is more important, because newsflash, we're human beings. We're not just numbers. We're not just data. We're human beings that have emotions, that have biases, that have beliefs, that have tendencies. So that is so critical in understanding everything that we do and how that's a through line and all the decisions that are being made. And when it comes to people that just worship intelligence, it's like, and I hate people that push intelligence in your face. Like, yeah, we get it. You're smart. Okay. So what? There are millions of other people that are just as intelligent. So what? How do you use that intelligence to better the world, to help other people? Right? I mean, I think ultimately that's what it is. But again, I'm operating from a different base. I don't worship intelligence. I don't worship money. I don't, but
some people like to think of it like, oh, my IQ's high or whatever, and it
yeah,
gives them a sense of value that they don't have to do anything else. Like that alone makes them better. And
yeah,
there's other people who aren't even that intelligent, but they're like, oh, I read books and stuff, so I'm better than you. And it's like, but everybody, like, I read books all the time. It's not like
right.
some great character
Oh my,
trait.
yeah,
That's like 100 years ago. That's all anybody did for
right.
entertainment, except,
And there are different kinds of intelligence, obviously, as well. But I guess we're just talking about like raw base intelligence.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. I'm not
and
necessarily talking about applied sciences or whatever. Because if
yeah,
you're like a physicist that's been working on some sort of like let's say you're the guy making a better way of nuclear fission or whatever, safer nuclear power plant, like that is probably got a purpose that would be greater. So it doesn't really matter
yeah,
how they are in their personal life. But
yeah,
the average, just smart person that's doing nothing, that how they affect other people matters way more than how smart they are or how high their intelligence is or
yeah.
whatever.
And emotional intelligence too. I've met, again, some of the smartest people, but have no emotional intelligence at all. So, like, to me, I think emotional intelligence is probably the most important kind of intelligence. Being able to connect with yourself and then connect with others is, I mean,
Emotional intelligence is more of a humility thing, though.
yes,
You're not
for
born
sure.
with it. And
Yeah,
that's why a lot of people, like, they say doctors are like
yeah,
brusque or assholes. It's
yeah,
because they did something. They're like, I'm a doctor now. And they feel like they're above necessarily being nice
right.
to anybody because they're like, I'm better or smarter than you. And that's that. Whereas anybody can be emotionally intelligent. Like, sure, when it comes to like IQ, you're only probably born with so much, but you can learn to be a better listener. You can learn to
Hmm.
be more empathetic, and you can
Yeah,
learn to relate your thoughts without looking down on people. So I think that also makes those people think it's less of a thing because there's no inherent superiority in that.
mm,
Like being a kind person doesn't means you're not better than somebody
for
else.
sure, for sure. It's interesting. I remember watching a documentary like last year, I think, or whenever it came out, about Aaron Hernandez.
Oh God.
All right. Well, reason I mention that is when he was getting drafted. So you know how they make all the NFL players take tests for all kinds. What's the
The
intelligence test?
Wonderlick.
The Wonderlic, right? So he took, I don't know what the other test was, but there's a test that measures your emotional maturity and emotional intelligence, and his was the lowest score possible. You couldn't like get lower than this. And is it a surprise that he murdered like what three people,
Yeah.
and then wound up in prison?
The worst part about that test is that if I'm thinking of the right thing, it's just like a basic decision making, like
Yeah,
ethics type test.
yeah,
Like, like if somebody left $50 and they dropped it and they didn't know they lost it, would you return it to them or keep it?
right. And even if you would keep it, like you say, you return it. You
Exactly.
say-
Like they're very easy to not get a low score. That's how sociopaths make it in society all the time.
yeah, exactly. Wow. You mentioned, we're going to change gears here a little bit. You mentioned how things are like dust and you're waiting for them to congeal, and I'm assuming that's because we're living in a pandemic. So
Which not going to end the way people are thinking, the way the last 2 months have gone.
right. and we talked about this. We said more endemic than pandemic, but I know, in knowing you, that some good has come from this. So how has COVID changed you?
It's not from COVID per se, if it's what you're getting at.
Or no, I'm not getting
Because I was going to say that was hopefully going to happen either way. So
no, that I'm not referring to that actually.
Oh, okay.
I just want to know. I just know for me, and I know it just makes sense when you have more time for yourself. You can be self-reflective. Well, or you could, waste it doing other stuff. You could pick up new hobbies. You could, go inside and learn more about yourself. So in being in these adverse times, how has COVID changed you, if it has?
I finally started growing my hair out so I could be more like you.
Attaboy.
I just can't wait till I get it long enough so I can have
man.
a ponytail.
It's getting there. You need to get your hair ties, man. Throw it up.
Trying to get like 1992 James Hetfield length.
Attaboy. Yes. How long are you growing that?
Let's see. Last time I got a cut was the end of February, so it'll be almost a year. It's been about 11 months. Nice. So, like I said, at down to I'm like Black Album era length, right before the Metallica cut their hair.
Damn.
Why not? I always wanted to try to grow it, but I thought it looked bad, and it's like going through that phase where it's like halfway. It's finally starting to look better, I think now, but it took 10 months. So.
Yeah, you're reaching the edge of that phase, that in-between phase where you're growing it out and it's short, and it's like, so you're getting there. So just hold on, man. You're almost there. And then, and then you'll find out whether it's for you or not. Like, trust me. I think long hair on most guys is unacceptable. I shouldn't say unacceptable, but it's not a good look. You have to have the right bone structure, the right face structure, and it's just got to work for you. You just got to aesthetically, it just has to work, and it doesn't happen for most guys. So
my head might be too big. We'll see.
You do have a big head, man. It's to hold that powerhouse of a brain, which I didn't. Going back to the intelligence. Going back to the intelligence. Sorry to cut you off. But going back to the intelligence. Weren't you in Mensa or still in Mensa or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. A lot of intelligence really doesn't mean anything.
No, yeah. But so aside from the locks, the luscious locks, has COVID changed you at all?
I definitely think the first 6 months was very bad. And so nothing positive, but I do think the one thing it's done is, even when I was like just not able to go to the gym and stuff like that, I definitely took more account of like, I didn't really ever, not that I was doing it much before, because I would only really do it when I'd go out, but I really wouldn't drink at all. And anything like try to keep my lungs as good as possible and stuff. So don't smoke anything.
Yeah, but you stopped doing crack, right?
Yeah, that was the first thing that went. But I can't really say I was like living rough with any of that stuff. I guess the one thing that's improved is probably helped get my finances in order, because I had to take a pay cut at my day job, and that like forced me to get everything under control, and then not going out and stuff, probably eating healthier overall. But I think I changed all that stuff like a couple of years ago before.
Yeah. So. Well, I was going to say, it's probably just a continuation of, you got to be on gear, right? You're on rigs because you're looking ripped, you're looking jacked. I've more shirtless, more, swim trunk photos.
Again,
than
trying
I've
to
ever
be
seen.
like you, man.
I'm going to tell you, man, like, and I was listening to Steve Guy, which I forget what's the name of his podcast, something like I'll Be Waiting for You or something. I don't know.
Up Late with Steve Guy? Isn't that what
No, he's got a podcast he's doing. In addition, it's
Wingman,
the Wingcat. It's not that anymore. It's like I'll be over here, something like that. I don't know. I listen, right, Steve. I listen to you, brother. I don't know if you listen to me, but I listen. I support you. So check out
Happy Hour with Steve Guy.
Happy Hour. That's not it.
Or I'll Be Right Over Here, the Wingman podcast.
That's it. I'll Be Right Over Here. He does it with. He has a co-host
with Rebecca Maxwell.
That's it. He mentioned you on it. I don't know if you heard last episode. he said, you know, like you used to be the I don't think he used the word portly, but like he would say like you used to be the out of shape guy, and then he would razz you, and now he said you're kicking his ass and he's got to do work.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah, he put you over, brother.
I better listen to it then.
Yeah. But so yeah, anyways, at the very least, you know, you've gotten shredded, you've gotten jacked. I'm sure like all the girls, you know, when you're walking down the Santa Monica Pier, they're like, oh my God, like just
Yeah,
give
I
me.
don't think I've been to Santa Monica in about at least a year. So
Yeah. You're not rollerblading down the beach.
nah, man. I
Yeah.
had to retire the hot pants for the
Oh
pan.
man. How is, I guess we'll talk about it. How is it living in Los Angeles? I know you really haven't like got the full thrust of the experience because as soon as you got out there, right?
I mean,
Apocalypse.
the first I ran into like not necessarily like famous people, but like I you know this, I saw Rambo, and then when I left the theater, the bad guy from Rambo 4 was out there and like, hey, you take a picture
Yeah.
of my family? And I'm like, okay. Which I knew something was up because the whole movie they were cheering every time the bad guy came on the screen, a
Yeah.
bunch of
Yeah.
people. And it's like, you know, and even when you're living in Chicago, let alone Ohio, like you're not going to the theater and then like the guy who's starring in the movie is watching it with you.
Yeah. Right.
So that's like the big change. And like I saw I don't know if he doesn't live out here full time, but they were doing something and I saw this one wrestler at the gym and he was like staring me down, and then I was like, oh, I remember who this guy is.
Nice.
So
So yeah, you're
try to
just
keep it
around
vague.
more.
Yeah, you just see people
Famous,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, you know, 70 and sunny pretty much every day. In the
And I'm
winter, it's
living in
dips.
further out, you know, it's
Yeah.
kind of like suburban where I am, even though it's
Mm.
pretty busy, but it's like right next to all the
Yeah.
studios and stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
like always expecting to see, obviously probably not with the pandemic, but I'm always expecting to see like Kevin Feige from Marvel Studios at Starbucks or something.
That'd be awesome. I
It's
got
re-
it.
when I found out how close like their studio was, it's like a mile away, and I was like,
Wow.
holy shit! Like Warner Brothers is right there. I drive past that, or I did
Yeah.
drive past it all the time.
Yeah. That's because you're in
We're in
Burbank,
well, we're technically in Glendale,
Glendale.
but we're 2 blocks from where it becomes Burbank, and that's like
Right
the
on.
side of the town all the studios are on.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
I don't mean to dox you or anything, but you
You
know.
just did, brother.
But I love, yeah, I love California. Every time I've been out there twice. I feel like I'll end up there at some point, you know. But
God,
there's a lot of
man,
work.
there's a lot of streaming services that need some ass kicking
Yeah,
stuff.
I bet. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
I mean, I've seen some shitty ads for like and a buddy of mine, the guy who ran the comedy show that I was talking about before, has worked on some of the worst shows or direct
Oh,
to like Amazon Prime movies you've seen in your life. And
probably been
yeah.
on some of those.
Yeah,
No
well,
joke.
so some of those are a little, yeah. You have
Yeah.
been on some of those too, but you've been on some decent ones as well.
There's also a lot of work in Atlanta too, you know, which is
Yeah, I know somebody who's working on
yeah.
who worked on not WandaVision, but the Loki show.
Yeah, and I got a lot of, you know, being in the Cleveland film community, I have a lot of friends that have relocated, most of them to Atlanta for the work. And it's like, I feel like there's oversaturation already, you know, in there.
I think with the stuff that you do with the action stuff as well, they're definitely shooting a lot more of that stuff in
Yeah,
Atlanta right now.
for sure. Oh yeah. I know a couple podcasts I listen to, you know, a lot of them have just moved to Atlanta, or they're not even home if they do live in LA, they're not even home. You know, I know that a lot of the film industry has come back to LA, but you know, for an extensive period of time, there was, you know, like Toronto, Vancouver, Atlanta, Chicago, like everywhere, and it still is like that. Because I know it's cheaper, right, to make movies
Those are
elsewhere.
still happening. Like movies,
Yeah.
there's probably more stuff shooting in New Orleans or
Yeah,
has been than
yeah,
LA. But LA, you got to remember, is like every TV show
yeah,
for the most part
yeah.
shoots there, except for ones that are like location based, like Chicago, or like need certain things that aren't here. Like when they used to shoot the X-Files in Vancouver
Yeah.
because it looked much more like the East Coast.
Exactly.
But like any studio, like Warner Brothers lots are still gigantic. They're still
Yeah.
shooting every sitcom ever made on
Right.
those sets,
Yeah.
or
I
that's
think,
being made.
and I think that's why Atlanta has grown a lot because of Pinewood Studios, and they
Yeah.
built that stuff. But I don't want to get too deep into.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we'll talk.
Pinewood Studios has like an exclusive studio there that's basically been rented out by Marvel for like the next foreseeable future. So
Yeah.
they know they were able to build more because they knew they had that
Yeah.
tenant locked
They
up.
got the infrastructure, right? Speaking of film, this was a question on my list. So I would say, obviously, you and I are both, film geeks, cinephiles. What is it about film that you love? And we'll make it a two-part question because I know like, you're a screenwriter as well. So you love the substance of cinema and the story. So what is it about film that you love, number one? And number two, what is it that we as humans can learn about movies through film and life, I guess? What can we learn about life through film?
I think the main reason I like him is because the best part about it is that out of all the media that we consume and all the entertainment we consume, well, this was true. It's the only one besides like live theater, but it's the only one where you specifically go to a place. I guess live theater and comedy and concerts are different. It's the only story-based immersive storytelling, because when you see a play, it's not nearly as immersive. You see the craft and the acting and live, and it's a different presentation. But films are kind of like a hyper real thing, and we go to a specific place, we forget everything that's happening, you turn off all the lights, and you can devote all your attention. And it's the only thing where I know all of the inner workings and all of the tricks, and I can still kind of just push it off to the side. It doesn't have to be done well. Like even a bad movie, I can forget about it, because there's other stuff I love, like like TV shows, or even like something like pro wrestling. When it's done good, I can forget about it. But when it's bad, all the stuff sticks out. But even in a bad movie, I can forget all that stuff and at least still follow along with what's happening. It has that immediate buy-in for me that no other genre or art form has.
Yeah, absolutely. That suspension of disbelief. And I'm going to quote Brad Pitt here. You ready for this? Brad Pitt said the reason he loves acting, he got into acting, is because every time he enters a film set, it's like he's walking into a portal to a world he would never be able to enter into, right? Whether it's, fighting his Achilles in Troy or Snatch or whatever, Ocean's 11. So yeah, I agree. There's something to be said. There's something that's very human about sitting in maybe not now, but sitting in a darkened theater or in your living room and engaging in a ritual that man has been doing since the dawn of time. It's telling stories. That's how we relate. That's how we learn. So to me, that's one of the reasons I love film, is it's like equipment for living. And it's weird because there's like that duality. There's a paradox of it being at one part escapism, but the other hand, you learn what it means to be human and learn what it means and it's like equipment for life, learning how to fully live and feel these emotions in a, somewhat safe environment. And it's like a mirror. Every time you watch a movie, there's insights into, the writer is opening his arms to you saying, this is what it's like to be a human being. So there's a mirror into your life as it reflects back.
This is 100% on topic. So please don't think I'm changing the topic whatsoever. One time I was in an acting class, and they said, we were doing the scene where we're supposed to be surprised. And I acted exactly how I would act when I was surprised. And the teacher just railed on me about how nobody would act like that, and that was fake and all that. So then, and I'm sure we're going to get to this at some point, when my wife told me she was pregnant, I had no idea it was happening, and she was filming me, and I acted and I freaked out. Like I didn't act. I just was super happy and surprised. And we watched it. And after I was watching, being happy in that, I was pissed because the way I acted on that was exactly the way I acted in that class. And it's like, it's a very important lesson. Like if you're truly acting and not trying to act, you can only act the way you would naturally react to something.
Yeah.
And that's something that about movies or anything that always is interesting is you're getting, when it's done well, like the performance is done well, not somebody trying and like trying to act. When somebody's just natural, you're getting their interpretation of a human emotion and how they process it. Like, there's nothing fake about it. And even if you're like, I don't like, even if you would not act that way, that's the way they chose to act in that scene, because that's the way their brain processes those emotions. That's the way they interpret those emotions. So I think even when something's done bad, if the people are actually trying and giving it their all, no matter how talented they are or not, you're getting their true interpretation of somebody's feelings.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Did I bring those together? I think.
Beautiful. It's truth. And I think, was it Meisner? I think he said, acting is living truthfully in imaginary circumstances.
Yes.
It's what it is. It's all it is. It's just bringing truth to the proceedings.
And that's why I was like, maybe I don't have a future as a big actor, but I'm just only acting the way I would actually act. And, that's fine.
Yeah. But you can bring the truth and the realism to it, how you interpret it, no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, man, I got 2 talking points. Well, you mentioned that you rung that bell. You said you're going to be a father.
Yes.
Exciting. That's exciting, man. That's
very
amazing.
Exciting. And you called me on a good day too to do this, because for the very first time I was able to feel my baby kick from the outside.
Wow. That's amazing. Beautiful. Do you know what kind of kick it was? I'm just kidding.
It was a bicycle kick.
Wasn't a front snap kick?
No, it was probably just a front kick. Yeah.
When that kid is, as soon as they can.
It wasn't even one of those. It was like an Orange Cassidy swipe their leg type kick.
Yeah. As soon as that kid, and you revealed the gender, right?
No. I mean, to you, but not to like.
Thank God I said kid. Wow. I almost doxed you again, bro.
That's all right.
As soon as that kid reaches their age of maturity where they can start to, walk, run, and all that stuff, I'm teaching them some stuff.
For sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's funny. It's like everybody's having babies or maybe it is COVID, but
I don't want to cut you off, but I read, so 2 months ago, I read an article about how next year was going to be the lowest birth rate of all time. And it's like, nobody's having kids because of COVID, because the people who would normally have kids, like normally, this isn't like me saying anything. It's just like a socioeconomic thing. Normally people making less money end up having more of the kids overall. So like,
where I'm going with that.
Well, I'll wait.
Okay, go ahead.
You could say it now. No, I know this, what I got to say.
Idiocracy.
Well, yes, that's definitely true. I just say I have a degree and part of a graduate degree, and my wife has a degree and a graduate degree, and we're in our 30s and we're expecting our first kid. And I have many relatives who could have technically, who one is like was a grandparent like 4 years older than me. So that's, anyways. Normally the lower the money, they make way more kids on average. So they're actually trending really down in birth rate. But what these sociologists did not expect is that the people who were doing better are having way more kids than they expected. So I think it's actually going to turn out to be close to normal. And I know some of it's anecdotal, but I know a ton of people having their first kid or kids now that weren't planning on it or weren't going to. So I definitely think it's kind of like a reset, not a snap, but kind of like more of an evening out.
So you think there's hope for our species and we won't have Hector Elizondo Camacho as our president?
I think we've already done that. So.
Yeah.
We had the My Pillow guy. The My Pillow guy just left for a meeting at the White House yesterday talking about invoking martial law. So I think we might have already passed that point.
Damn, that's right. Oh my God. Crazy times. What the hell? But yeah.
One of those things where it's like, I don't care what your political beliefs are. When a late night pillow salesman is getting a meeting with the president and people are transcribing his notes and say, invoke martial law. It's like, what kind of world are we living in?
Folks, if you've not seen the movie Idiocracy, it is not a farce. It is fact. We're living in it. It is
fact. It is 100% fact.
Anytime I mention that movie to anybody, it's like, it's like you're a kindred spirit. It's like, you've seen Idiocracy? Oh my God. Yeah. Aren't we living in it? It's like that. That's funny.
And the thing is, I think now it might have become a meme, but if you've seen the movie, the first 5 minutes sets up like, it's crazy because the movie's probably like 12 years old now, maybe a little newer, but probably that old. And the first 5 minutes of the movie basically set up what life is right now. And it happened way faster than expected.
Yeah. You introduced me to that. I gotta thank you for that. I remember watching. I think we watched that in your basement.
Yeah.
Your
Well,
parents' house.
I used to read this website before I found out the guy who ran it was like a huge sexual abuser. But ain'titcoolnews.com, and they used to have all kinds of like information. They talked about this one guy, saw the movie. It might have been Drew McWeeny, who does a newsletter now. He was not a bad guy. He left way before that stuff was happened. Anyways, he was talking about how he saw this movie and it's hilarious and it's like such a great comedy. And Mike Judge, it's like his finally like got a movie to work good because people loved Office Space, but honestly, it's not necessarily that funny in the context. It's more of like ideas. And Fox was like, no, there's no money in this. And they basically shelved it and they just put it out in one movie theater or 4 movie theaters, LA, Chicago, New York, and one in his hometown of Austin, Texas, just on one screen each, and then put it out on DVD. So I'd read about it for like 2 years and it sounded really good. So as soon as it came out on DVD, I rented it. And yes, we watched it in my basement. And I was like telling everybody, like, you got to watch this movie. It's so true. This is how life's happening.
But there's validity to what you're saying. Like used to be, the more wealthy, affluent, educated, we're having less kids later in life. Whereas the uneducated, not as wealthy, not as affluent, we're having more kids earlier in life. And that trend, right? What would the world look like?
It's still probably just like this, not even
the
that,
gap's
but
closing
it's still,
is what you're saying.
For the first time, probably ever.
Awesome. I guess, yeah. So back to fatherhood, I got to live vicariously through you. Well, actually, let me back it up. My point was, when I mentioned about having kids, is I feel like a bunch of people that I know are pregnant and are planning to have kids this year. And they've all hit me up too and said, hey, you're going to train my kid, right? I'm like, yeah, of course. I got you. I
guess the thing that surprised me is there's a lot of people who are expecting kids now who are like, I thought never we're going to have kids. Mm-hmm. Not just we were always planning to have kids. It was just like, well, we better do it now before we get too much older. But then there's people who are like, oh, I'm having kids. And it's like, oh, I didn't even think you were going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, that's exciting, man. And I'm sure it's going to absolutely change your whole entire outlook on life. No doubt.
Only 4 months away.
Wow.
Which sounds like a lot, but it's really not.
Yeah. No, not at all. So that'll be May.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Interesting.
Everything looked good. Had an ultrasound.
Beautiful. That's all that matters. The baby's
growing healthy. It's all good.
Well,
and actually, the fact that I could feel her or feel the baby is a good sign. because it's like a week early than I should be able to.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I've told you and your wife that without a doubt, unequivocally, like, you guys are going to be just outstanding, terrific, through the moon parents. So
thank you.
I'm happy for you guys. It warms my heart. There's some blessings that have come in this.
It's definitely one of those things where it's like, I didn't think I was ready. And then it's like, I think I'm ready.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh no, I totally am. Like,
yeah, exactly. And I'm sure you'll grow, and your wife will grow. You both will learn a lot about life through having a child. Like, no doubt. I know just in, I don't have any kids myself, but I know in teaching kids for the last, 9, 10 years, that it's like, they teach you so much, whether it's patience, number one, but they teach you so much. It's so interesting because a child is just like a mini philosopher. They just like they're especially the younger they are, they're looking at stuff for the first time. Everything is so brand new. So like, you almost get to experience it through them. And then also understanding that like how like the work on yourself is also like benefits the kids. So like when I've heard therapists talk about, what things to do to help, how do you raise the kid to be the best they could be. Like a lot of them say the work on yourself is where it starts.
Yeah, because
You know?
if you don't have everything, not necessarily in order, but if you don't have
Yeah.
things the way they
Yeah.
are, that stuff's going to leak
Right.
out to the kid and make it
Yeah.
worse for them. And like, if you don't take care of yourself, I'm not saying everybody has to be like a fitness nut, but if you don't have like the base of
Like
taking care of yourself, I feel like I've become one the way society is.
Attaboy.
I mean, I kind of am now. I'm like, no, I can't drink alcohol. It'll disrupt my protein synthesis. Like, so.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you.
I mean, I'll still binge and stuff, but
Yeah, you're
you know
human.
what I'm saying. But if you don't have that level of like the discipline to take care of yourself, how could you do it for a child?
Well, what it is like you are, I'll use this as an analogy. Like you are an environment for which they'll grow. Like you are the soil, you are watering and all that stuff. They're the seed and they're going to grow and then we can get into the whole nature nurture debate. But the bottom line is you create the environment for whether they could thrive. That's all as a parent, that's all you can do is be that environment.
And you're right on that though.
Yeah. And I'm not even a parent, but I've figured it out, I think. Not that I'm ready.
Had a huge positive influence on many children though.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's such a rewarding thing. But at least where I'm at right now, it's beautiful when it's like, okay, you can go back to mom and dad. I'm done with you. You know what I mean? I love kids and I connect with them because I'm just a giant kid like you. And I think that's why you're going to be a great dad. Like think about all the games and stuff you're going to, oh my God, it's going to be awesome.
Oh, I agree.
And I'll say this too, but when you grow up and you learn from your parents, like a lot of me growing up and learning from my parents, especially when my dad was like, I'm learning what not to do when I become an adult.
Yeah.
Not saying you don't have, I love your parents. Your parents I think are amazing and great, but you know what I'm saying?
Yes. I think about that too. Like, yeah. Definitely.
All right. We're changing gears 100%. Because you mentioned comedy when you were talking about storytelling.
Yes.
What's the importance of comedy in society? And I guess an addendum to that question, I feel like, and I've heard this from comedians, that like comedy is basically therapy. Can you care to expand?
I mean, I think my answer on this is going to be different than it would have been even like 2 years ago. But I think people, I think with the way things have gone and how little difference anybody's opinions have actually made is that, comedy has been a lot less of a mirror to society than they've claimed it's been, especially with it's become, I don't know about toothless, but I don't know if it's a fracturing of society or people's opinions or like the fact that something like QAnon can just become mainstream and like widely heard. It's really hard to pierce that veil like it was before. And like people would say stuff like, oh, George Carlin was like a philosopher and he had all these things are true, or even like Chris Rock's bit on like gun control from the 90s. And the way society is right now, you would think there'd be all these people making statements, but really it's kind of not working out like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because we've all become more bubbled or not, but I think, comedians can tell the truth or whatever. That's what it's supposed to be, like truth and comedy. You're telling the truth and it's funny because you're showing them something they didn't realize.
Yeah.
But I think maybe it's my own personal struggles with it, but I don't know. The pandemic, there's been no solid ground for people to unify on. And if people don't have an assumption they all agree with, it's really hard to be a counterpoint to that. So I think it's actually made everything much more niche than it was before. Like mainstream comedy, there's not even an acceptable mainstream right now. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it feels like that.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I think part of it is we're all suffering. People are dying. How dare you, make things funny? But we need that in life.
True. And I think that's why the stuff like you're saying, the age with the TikTok comedy, I think that stuff just becomes super popular because it requires no commentary on life. It's just pure escapism type comedy.
Valid.
It's just not surreal, but it's absurdist. And I think that's why that's popular.
Yeah. And what I was going to say is we need comedians in life to point out the absurd, because guess what? Life is absurd. So having comedians point that out is such a valuable part of it's. I think it's a fabric of our society. But yeah, you're right. Like that's interesting. With the TikTok thing, actually makes a lot of sense now. Like why it hits and it works, because yeah, that's pure escapism. But so would you agree that like I'm looking at from like a comedian's standpoint.
Yeah.
A comedian that stands on a stage again in a darkened room full of strangers and tells jokes. Are they seeking validation? What is it?
I think some of them probably are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people,
What's it for you?
just, just seemed like it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not a tortured soul or things are good, because I've definitely had my dark days, but for me, more of like, like going to the gym and therapy are much more constructive than doing comedy.
For sure.
But I do think there are a lot of people who are seeking validation, and sadly you can find you kind of smell it when they're on stage, like, because you're never going to be that funny if you're begging for approval. So you just got to do what you think is funny, and then hopefully people will follow.
So do you think there's a correlation between like having a fragile like self-image and seeking that validation and getting into comedy?
In some aspects, yeah, but I don't think I was like, I'm going to prove my life is worth something, that's why I'm doing comedy. But there definitely are people who are in that situation 100%.
Yeah.
It was more just like, I definitely felt, me personally, was much more from the Jerry Seinfeld philosophy that he described in Comedian, where he's like, people are like, why are you a comedian? He's like, I don't know. When I grew up, everybody was funny and we were always funny together. And then they all stopped being funny and I just kept doing it. It was like, that's the same deal. Like, it wasn't like I had to prove something. It was like hanging out with friends and just everybody cracking jokes and being funny is like the best time.
Right. It's just a continuation of that. It's you love it. If you can get paid doing something that you greatly enjoy, like hanging out with buddies, cracking jokes, like why not? But I can also, and I never really got that sense from you that you were up there like, please, like you were the Shawn Michaels of comedy, that you needed that external validation from everyone. Like, please make me feel like I have worth. I didn't feel like, but I definitely feel like there are comedians I've seen perform that I'm like, oh my God, he needs this more than like, this is like his life force that's sustaining him or her.
Yeah. I don't want to act like I didn't want to do good, or like it pissed me off if I did bad. Like, yeah, of course. But there are people who need that validation. And that's probably why now I'm like, I haven't done comedy in, 10 months, or I guess almost a year, or we got 10 months, and it's like, whatever. And then there's people like, oh, I can't live without it. And I'm just like, I mean, yeah, whatever. It's not what I planned on doing, but I don't really, it sounds bad to say I don't miss it, but it's like, I just, like, I had other stuff I can do. Yeah, it sucks. And it's like, why am I out here spending this money? But shit, if I don't ever do it again, I don't even know if I'd be that upset about it.
Wow. And that speaks to like how we change as humans, that like the stuff you're interested in, it may change, and that's okay, because there's no like logical set path, and who gives a shit what society tells you it's got to be like. And that's why people that, whether they go get a degree when they're like 70 years old, or they have a career change at 50, or DDP and get into pro wrestling at 38, whatever. I love those people, because those are people that it's like, I'm living life, and my life in this situation, I'm honoring what it is. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I had a very dark episode in my life, and that already like set a lot of things back. But now it was like, the choice was taken from me, and like, it was like I had my lunch tray and life smacked it out of my hand. And it's like
Flash.
Maybe I don't even want to pick it up. Maybe I'll just go get a different lunch. You know what I
mean? But not the Flash from Homecoming. That Flash wasn't really. It was like a nerd bully.
Yeah, he was a nerd bully. It was just a different take, different kind of bully.
But I like that movie. That was a good movie.
Cyberbully, basically. I
Yeah.
view that kind of guy as more like the modern bully. There's not as many people punching kids in the face anymore. They're more like telling them to go kill themselves on instant messenger and stuff.
Jesus, that went dark. But like,
well, I didn't mean to go
right.
that dark, but kids are horrible to each other online.
Dude,
we don't need to
trust
even
me.
get into that.
In working with kids, like, I mean, some of the stories that I've heard, it's like, it's so repulsive. It's so disgusting that, like, I get it. Like, I mean, yeah, we busted chops as kids, but not to that degree and not that vicious.
Well, that's different when you and your friends are making fun of each other is then when people are like harassing you, because there were kids that got harassed like that that I can remember growing up.
And that, guess what that speaks back to? I remember seeing a meme where it was a parent like this, right? And then a kid like this and the parent behind him, and the parent's tongue was going into the kid's head, and they were saying the disgusting word. So it goes back to like what we were saying earlier about being environment. And you can see, I'm sure there's a direct correlation between troubled home life, absent parents, emotionally unavailable parents, or some issues that the parents have in themselves that have been manifested in their kids. Not every single time, because there are like fucking hellions and shit that are just like, come out of the womb, Chucky, maybe not. But the good son. Oh yeah, exactly.
Some Macaulay Culkin's out there.
Dude, what a classic movie. So yeah. Let's go on to topic that another pin that I talked about we're gonna pull the pin out now. Stutzman's BiRite. So just to reset this for everyone, Stutzman's BiRite was an independently owned and operated grocery store in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio.
On Bailey Road.
On Bailey Road. It was an independent grocery store that also became a state liquor agency. I believe it started out as Sparkle Market, became BiRite, Stutzman's BiRite, Stepman's.
Stepman's. Then a great
Hey, can you cut that a little bit thicker and thin for me? But God, I love that we're doing this for us.
This is yesterday's newspaper, sir.
I haven't read it. But anyways, this is where Chris and I met. So like it's almost like if you've been in, I don't want to equate this with war, but it's like almost like you've been.
It's like, nah, brother.
Yeah, unless you've been there, you don't get it. But
unless you've stocked Blatz in the front cooler, you don't know what you're talking about.
Or those hypersexual green beans. I kid you not, guys. I'll have to post it somewhere. There's a can of green beans. It was like Value Choice or some shit, and it's doggy style. The green beans are fucking on a fork.
They're supposed to look like they're riding it like a horse, but the one green bean is so bent over and the other one's like that. And they got their hand on their hip.
There's no way that was an accident. There's no way.
Oh, somebody's really into green beans.
Just like when, some of these animators put like sexual images in the Disney movies back in the day, but
pop their boys.
Yeah, exactly. The phallic symbol on the cover of the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Or sex in The Lion King. But anyways, so this is where our bond, our friendship was forged, man, like iron in battle, because that place was, I still plan on it one day writing a book, a novel, I don't even know, a nonfiction book just about my experiences at Stutzman's BiRite. Because God, I could spend a whole podcast series, like a whole, like they do like these limited like mini series of podcasts and stuff. Like I could spend a whole 12 episode, 1 hour each, show just on Stutzman's BiRite. But anyway,
my sister said she wants to write a series about it.
I had that idea when I was right before I quit there. My idea was like coming up with it was kind of an idea for a comedy, but like a dark comedy called Check Out Please. I think that's what I was going to call it.
I was going to call it Dinner Check.
But anyways, God, that place was so interesting. That's where we met. And you worked in the deli, and I think
that's me paying for my liquor with my hand.
Oh God. You worked in the deli, and I think you were also a cashier at one point, right?
and stock. That's
And
how I
stock.
started. Then I did
Yeah, that's
deli.
right.
Then I was cashier, and then I would do mostly deli, but I would do cashier when they
Yeah.
needed me to, like when it got busy. Then
Aside from how to be a pervert and having and having an infinite source of every porn video that has ever come out from a person that worked there, what
yeah, boy, it's got tits or wheels. It's going to be a problem.
Yeah. What wisdom did you glean from working at Stutzman's BiRite?
Everybody's, I guess the one thing I'd say, and this isn't even like a knock on anybody or that, but you never really realize everybody's got their own burdens or, it's definitely cliche, but it's like everybody definitely has their own cross to bear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you learned some empathy there, right? Yeah. And it's true because we had people from so many walks of life. Some people, that worked there, that owned the place, had a good amount of money, and then a lot of the shoppers were very low income. A lot of the employees, were very low income. And yeah, it's interesting to have that like dichotomy there, and just to have empathy for people that come from all walks of life, all educations, all backgrounds, all types. That's a good point. I never thought about that, but that's huge.
It was definitely like the classic American melting pot type scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Based on all the people that would come in there. And one thing that I definitely learned too is that it's probably what started me down like this way of thinking, but the people who would be the rudest or ask for discounts the most were the richest people always.
Yep. Well, there's a correlation. If you drive a nice car, you're an asshole. Like that's usually how
these people that had money would treat you with no respect. And they'd always be like, well, why can't I get a discount? Or I spent so much money, you know how to treat me. And the people who didn't were usually, not always, but usually much more respectful and kind. And I definitely think there's a reason.
Yeah.
That's where it's like to truly become rich, a little part of you like truly rich has to be an asshole.
Yeah. How do you get that rich? But stomping on necks, right?
Yep.
And one thing too that I found interesting about there is because it was a state liquor agency, like having a sort of, I don't want to say the word pity because that's not right, but like when you see these people that were alcoholics that would come in and they're like spending their last pennies, and they would bring their kids in, they're spending their last pennies on liquor instead of buying food for their kids. There's part of me that just is like breaking, feeling for the kids and the family, and also having this just deep sadness that this is their situation in life, but also at the same time having anger that they know better and they need to do something about this. But at the same time, it's a mental health issue. So it was so complex. It was such an intricate web of things, of emotions.
And then the same thing, but in a different way. And this is not some sort of like fat shaming thing, but there would be people that would come in and they would have like the fattest children, like to the point where they looked like uncomfortable even walking around. And they'd be on food stamps, and that's not lots of people are, and it's not a problem, but you'd see the food because you'd have to like pay attention to everything because they wouldn't just pay for it. It had to be certain items you couldn't get, like you couldn't get hot foods and things like that.
Yeah.
And they'd go around with their cart and it'd be like, your kids look painful to be alive, and the food you're giving them is such awful choices. It wasn't necessarily the food stamps, but it was like anybody who was doing that. And it's like, I get it that some of those things are a lot cheaper, and you want your kids to shut up and that's it. But it's like, I don't know. It's more of a health crisis. Like, yeah, it's fine if you are overweight. I've been very overweight, but when it's the parents doing it, it's more like you're just setting them up to fail for life.
Yeah. You can't be eating that Stutzman's bologna, man. That'll get you.
Well, yeah. And there's other people who are like you said about the alcohol, even the ones who I wouldn't even say are alcoholics were just selfish. Like, I buy myself a beer and 2 steaks, and then you go to the deli and it's like, oh, what's your cheapest lunch meat? That's going to be for the kids. Oh, this is 3 cents. This is 30 cents cheaper. I'll just get this. And it's like, they're your kids, right? You're supposed to be taking care of them. For some 19-year-old kid in my shoes to be like, what the hell? Like, that's saying something.
Yeah, and to tie it back to being a parent, like you see that and you're like, yeah, that would never be me as a parent.
Yep.
Right. Wow. Well, we're gonna round third here because
Okay.
we're already over an hour. There's
Wow.
like, I think I know, right? Beautiful. This is what I love, having great conversations. Like,
Didn't get to make you cry on this one.
no, that's true. Wow. Yeah. Well, it's not over yet.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to.
You never know.
I'm not
I'm a
going for
crier.
tears. I'm not going for tears here, though.
I'm gonna try, man. I'm gonna try and just
All
cry,
right.
just because if I'm really, especially if I hear like emotional music, I can cry on command. I'm gonna try it just to mess with you. But so like basically 3 questions that I want to finish with, and this is a little metaphysical. This is great because we get into that. We even talked about having a podcast one time about like all the like what we're gonna call it. It was all like all the we would talk ghosts, we would talk cryptoids,
Oh,
we
yeah.
would talk aliens, we would talk
The paranormal stuff.
The paranormal stuff.
We
Yes,
had a
thank you.
name for it, though. I don't remember what it was.
I remember it was the paranormal guys because of the pretty small guys. It might have been it. I don't know.
It might have been back then. Yeah.
We
Still could on stereo. They're
Yeah.
looking. Yeah. We could try to win some money.
But I want to talk reincarnation.
Okay.
There's the book Life Before Life.
Yeah.
I know you've read, right? And I have it. I've not read it yet, actually. I got it a while back. I still haven't read it. What are your thoughts on reincarnation?
I'm open to it.
Yeah.
It seems like it's much more of a natural process than the typical Western belief of like a heaven and hell.
Yeah.
Even if it was just, I guess I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to
No.
say, even if there was nothing metaphysical about it, just recombining the cells in the exact same way. You know what I mean?
Like, it's interesting as I get older, and I definitely identify more with Eastern philosophy and religion than Western. As I get older, though, I definitely jive more and more with reincarnation. I mean, number one, they've done studies where like as soon as you die, there's and I guess this doesn't necessarily mean it's reincarnation. It just means you have a soul. Like when you die, that you weigh less.
Yeah.
Immediately. That's interesting. But like, it's pretty interesting, especially like what the Buddhists say about that wheel of like, you just keep coming back until finally you learn what you need to know to escape, to get to nirvana, or to break that cycle, right? That's what they call samsara, the endless birth and death cycle. And one of my favorite movies, I know you love this movie, is Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. And that's essentially an analogy for that, right? Isn't that just that whole movie just a metaphor for reincarnation? Yeah.
Yes, because until he learns what he's supposed to learn, he just lives the day over and over again.
And I feel like that. Like, I feel like that's what this whole game is about, that like you just pop into this next vessel and it's like, okay, what karma did my previous lives go through that I need to learn and I need to go to so I can finally shuttle off, and whether it's, who knows what the hell is going to happen when we die, whatever, but it just seems to make more sense.
This is going to sound like complete like stoner talk, but you ever look in the mirror and you're like, who the fuck am I looking at?
Bro, every day. No, you're right. There are times, dude, I wake up, like, especially in the morning. I mean, whatever, you're in that hypnagogic state, but I'm like, oh, who's this dude? But there are times like when I'm in like especially when I'm in altered state of consciousness where I'm like, damn, like, what the fuck? Who is this dude? You're right. Like, what is this?
I'm not supposed to be in here. I'm in the wrong body.
It's interesting.
Almost.
It's interesting. Like, you look at, it's like, I don't know, man. You brought up a good point. I could talk about this forever, but
I don't know if I ever told anybody about this, but when I was young, I had pneumonia, I guess it would have been.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear, like when it happened when I was a kid, it was when I was like 3, and my parents told me I was dreaming, but I guess when I was really sick, I have memories of floating around the apartment that we live in and flying down the steps and flying around the room and stuff like that. And it's weird because like there's some memories I have of dreams, but this feels like a real memory and not a dream memory, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I don't know if I told you the story.
And that's why. Sorry. No, I was just gonna say that's why in that apartment we only lived there for 1.5 years, but I can tell you the exact layout of every single aspect of it because I flew around it so much.
That was another subject I kind of wanted to, if we had time, was astral, projection in the astral plane. And again, that's something I'm totally on board for now, especially after watching Doctor Strange. But like,
Oh yeah, that was always cool.
yeah, that's great. But we can say that for another podcast, getting all astral and all that. But I don't know if I've told you this story. My stepdad, never tell you about him when he died.
Yes, but I would love for you to share it.
Yeah, well,
You
this
have
would be
told
new for
about
everyone.
after what the motorcycle accident, right?
No, but well, he was in
Oh,
a car accident. So, anyways, so my
car
stepdad,
accident.
he was driving a pickup truck, and he went through. He was going. The light turned green, and a car went through the red light, and it T-boned him, and he flew out of the car. Basically died. You know, I think he might have died on either at the scene or on the way to the hospital. And mind you, let me give a little bit of context. This is a man that, you know, he's been in my life for 24 years, I think, something like that. And he's one of those guys doesn't say much. And you know, people that when they don't say much, but when they do talk, it has like the effect is amplified. He's one of those guys.
Yes.
So when he says stuff, you listen. So this was funny. This was a few years ago. We were at the beach and we had a couple of cocktails, margaritas, I think. And so he just felt like talking about life and some stories. And again, it's almost like a genesis for this podcast, you know, talking about life, drinking. But he just started telling these stories. A lot of them were paranormal. And this story that he's telling is, you know, so he was in a car accident, right? Flew out, dead. Well, next thing he can recall is he's floating up out of his body at the hospital in the bed. He sees, you know, everybody's working on him, trying to revive him. And he just keeps going up. And he looks at me and goes, Matt, when I say I saw a white light, white doesn't even begin to describe the whiteness of this light. He said it was basically like the most peaceful experience. Like he said, human words, it's ineffable. Human words can't describe what he was feeling, what he was sensing. And he said that basically there was a voice, even though it didn't speak to him, he heard it. He felt like it was an intuitive voice that was saying, it's not your time. There's work you have left to do. But he also had the choice that he could keep going or go back into his body. So he went back into his body, and then, you know, like in the movies, came up, he came to, right? Yeah. So, you know, and it's interesting because a lot of people have kind of had that experience in life. So I feel like if enough people have it, it's almost valid. But yeah, for him to tell me that was like a huge, huge deal. I don't know what that says about, doesn't, you know, contradict or validate, you know, reincarnation at all. But the point is, like, something happens when we die. It's not just, I don't think it's just fade to black, roll credits.
When I get my darkest times, I dwell on it negatively.
Yes.
So I try to say, you know what, if it is just roll the credits and it's fade to black and I have no memories of what happened, I wouldn't know anyways.
Yeah.
So I just try to be at peace with whatever happens. I'm not I mean, I still plan on living to at least my 90s. And I plan to be good until like I'm 80. So then I figure the last 10 years are going to be rough. But I'm in it for the long haul right now.
You take Progenics and TRT, you're going to live to be 150, my friend. But
that's why I'm trying not to get the COVID. I'm pretty sure I don't want to get into this, but I'm pretty sure like 15 years from now, there's going to be a lot of people who are like 40 and 50 who are dying of cancer because their T cells were exhausted from it. But I
think you're right on that. I think you're right. But yeah, it's interesting. You know, one of spiritual teachers that I follow, Ram Dass, he said that death is like taking off a tight shoe. I mean, you know, who knows? And there's another really good book if you want to learn more about death. I quote this often, On Death and Dying by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross is a great book. She was basically a doctor of death, but not Steve Williams, who she
by God.
She would basically travel the world and gave like palliative care to people that were on, you know, their deathbeds. And she estimated that she was with 10,000 people that had passed on, 10,000 people. So she came up with, essentially, she wrote a book chronicling her journey. And she kind of came up with some principles. And one of the main things is that when you die, it's essentially what she equated it to was, the caterpillar leaving the cocoon, and then our true self, our true soul flies free and is able to, that's like our true expression of who we are as a being. And we go back into oneness and,
I mean, even at the very least, if it's just like a chemical that gets excreted in your brain to make you deal with it, well, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Big Chris Dad. This is the thing about being a human being. We're all going to find that out at some point. Isn't that so bizarre?
I ain't ready for it right now, though.
No, I didn't say now.
Yeah, I know.
But
it's
going to happen, whether you like it or not. So my thing is, like, the more that you think about, like, you can see I have kind of a jovial nature with death.
Yeah.
I like being around people that I can talk freely about death with, and instead of people that, like, their anus, shrinks up when they're talking about it. It's like, dude, like, have fun with it. Like, just like life, like, let go. And then it's all good. Like the Buddhists say, when you're alive, be dead and totally dead. And then it's all good.
True.
I don't know.
Live in the moment, die in the moment.
Remember, we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. Yeah. All right.
I can't even do it. I'm sitting down.
You don't know about country boy, country boy, country boy. I'm gonna mess with a country boy, country boy, country. This is where people are like, click.
Yeah.
Last, I guess we'll kind of tie these questions in together.
People click off at Hillbilly Jim, then they shouldn't have been listening in the first place.
Yeah. The last couple questions here. What do you want to be when you grow up?
A good dad.
Great answer. And I wouldn't say good. I would say great. I think you're going to be a great dad. Mark my words right now.
I hope I am, but I'll be satisfied with good. As long as I am not hold back my child from the life they should live.
Even if you're not great, your wife is great, and she'll pick up the slack.
Yeah, you're right.
But I think you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be great. And then the final question: what's like your ultimate piece of wisdom? What would you do if you had to go back to that, teenager Chris Clem? What piece of wisdom would you give him? Yeah.
This is a negative thing because I wish I could and be like, trust me, you just have confidence that you're good enough, because you're going to overthink everything and you're going to always doubt yourself. But if you just don't, things will turn out so much better than you'd expect. But unfortunately, I can't do that. So I try to live that advice now.
Yeah, that's beautiful. If you would have kept going, I would have cried. But
I don't think so. It's more of a regret than a good advice.
Yeah. Well, what would if you had to give, say, this is going to sound like morbid, but almost like I was going to give a spoiler about Endgame. But if you say you had to have this recording and give it to your child, and it was the only thing that they ever heard from you, and it had to be the wisest piece of it, whatever wisdom you would give, what would it be? Ooh, this is deep.
Whatever piece of wisdom I would give.
Yeah. What life lesson? What would you say to them aside from like, I love you, this and this? Like, what would you say about life?
If you've informed yourself to a proper level and you feel like you have enough knowledge to make the decision, just trust your decision and don't regret it. Just go with it. Don't overthink it. Don't get paralyzed by thought and fear.
Awesome. That's beautiful.
Because there's lots of things I let get to me personally because they weren't the way it was supposed to be done, or I didn't think it was appropriate at the time. And I felt like I lost out on like 10 years of opportunities because of that. And also always humble yourself to the process. Don't think you're above anything, because then when you get the slap back, you have to start completely over, and that's worse. Like I missed out because I was a certain way in Ohio. I missed out on a lot of stuff in Chicago, and some of the stuff that I did get to do, I did for such a short time, and I could have had, 4 more years of it if I just would have been open to it in the first place. Some of the best times that could have been in my life, and I wasn't open to it. So just be humble, I guess. No matter how smart you are or talented you are, doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter what you can do. It's not even saying you shouldn't be confident, but arrogance can give you blind spots.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I got so much wiser. Thank you for imparting. Thank you for imparting that knowledge on me. I just feel elevated. But no.
In general, don't wait until you're like 33 to actually take your fitness seriously.
Yeah, that's a good point. But you look great, man.
Thank you, brother. Just trying to be like you.
Shit, I'm trying to be like you.
Midnight Heat.
Look that video up on YouTube. It is in the Kane Action Team YouTube channel. Midnight Heat at the gym. We give you some great fitness tips.
We got to make some more training videos.
We will, man. Hey, it's only the beginning, dude. Come on. Once we get through this COVID, we'll hit it. We'll hit it.
All right.
But we got this. We'll get to it. Well, that was fucking awesome. Damn, I love it. This warms my heart. Thank you for jumping on and talking about life and reminiscing. I really appreciate you as a human being. I appreciate your wife. I want to have her on the show as well. That'd be great too.
A comic was doing these roast battles and he was doing it with your spouse or your girlfriend, and he tried to get me to do it. She was not having it.
Yeah,
so,
I bet.
Maybe she'll do this though.
She will. Yeah, we're just talking about life. Your wife and I have had some of the deepest conversations I've ever had with another being was with her, especially when I went through some heartbreak. She was there for me, shoulder to cry on. So I owe it to her for,
I feel like this is just like we're on a road trip. This is the kind of stuff we'd be talking about anyway. So.
Absolutely. We tried to get deep, a little bit, but we're also bros. So this is what we do. But
on the smallest level, I don't know if you remember the guy who was on Coast to Coast AM talking about how he picked his parents and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to ask my kid if she picked it.
I bet she would.
They maybe picked us, and maybe I get a weird answer.
I'd pick you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah. Anyways, any plugs you want to throw in?
I finally got chrisclem.com back.
Not .net?
No, but I have nothing up on it right now, but I got it back. It finally was available. I got an email saying that it was available. So I just hopped on that right now. The guy in Sweden just gave up.
That will be in the description of the show. Did you get Chris? You can't get Chris Clem on Twitter, right? That asshole's got it. Never tweeted.
Fun. I go on all the time. Like right now, I'm on here. I'm looking, and it's going to be 18 followers and 0 tweets.
Oh my god, what a loser!
That was the other thing. I started putting CJ on Facebook because I was like, oh, maybe I can get that. Yeah. Nope. 17 followers. This guy lost. He lost one.
Well, regardless of what you're known as on social media, to me, you're known as my best friend and somebody that I love and I admire, and I'm very blessed that you're in my life. And
same to you, brother.
Yeah, man. Like, it's a beautiful thing to say that you have, a really close friend that you've still been with through all these years, through thick and thin, through the battles, and that you're going to be best friends with for the rest of your life. Like, I'm blessed.
I wear my Kane Action Team shirt to the gym with pride, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
Spread that word. I say you were in my wedding. I was like, had to have you there, man.
Yeah, man. Of course, dude. And if that
was already a decade ago almost.
God, what a great time. And if I ever get married, of course you're in line. But that's, that's all I know there.
You living that free swinging bachelor life.
It's not bad. Not bad. Then anyways.
You got plenty of time. You're a man. You could have a kid when you're 55.
That's true. Like that guy, who was it that I think the oldest man to ever have a kid was like 100 years old or some shit.
Oh yeah. What about Tony Randall? He was 78?
Yeah, that's right. Holy shit. Well, okay. Maybe I'll go that route. But anyways, dude, appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on. And I want you back on for, we'll talk about some other shit. We'll talk about more astral projection. We'll talk more pro wrestling, some more film, more life shit, maybe some more stutzmans. So
there's so much more to talk about.
Oh my God. Right.
I know you're wrapping this up. Sorry.
All right, man. But take care. And I'll see you next time, man.
Love you, my brother.
Love you, brother. All right. Peace.
Oh, you can see me. So
right here. Sweet. Don't leave me hanging. All right. Thanks. That's right. See you, man.